godmother. I met Jamada in 2012 when they were building the Bruce Boland building. And she was on what was that, the Dudley Task Force?
It was called the Advisory Task Force.
Yes.
We worked for 8 years.
Yeah.
We had 4 things to do. We had to do it was called the Ferdinand Building then.
Yeah.
And then we had to work on the B2 police station. We had to move it and everything. And the third one was the library, put a face on the library. And the fourth part was what was called the commercial piece. And the commercial piece was going to be where the library is and the police station right now, that parking lot.
Yeah.
That was going to be the fourth part of our project. And we worked on it for 8 years.
Yes, Jamada, we know a lot. You have done a lot in this community for our community. And I still miss Nubian Notions. I get mad every time I go down Nubian Square and see that PSL place.
For everything there's a season.
Yeah.
And a Nubian Notion, the community is a Nubian Notion. And every store that you see that there's cooperative economics, a gift store, a card store, a music store, a bookstore, and if it's owned by people in the community, that is a Nubian Notion. Promoters, we were a ticket agency, and
that's right. Yeah.
People, I just remember one time when the promoter of Prince, Prince was coming to Boston, and of course it was Ticketmaster. Everything had to be, and the promoter said, "I don't care what you do and how you do it. You get tickets to a Nubian Notion because that's where I got my start as a promoter."
Yeah.
So everything that is done, that you are a Nubian Notion.
Yeah.
But I want to say this about these 2 young ladies.
Please.
They've said that they've just been here about 4 months. And, there's something called quality versus quantity. And so I say they have been 3 times. Okay. So you all need to just say congratulations on your first year, because 4 times 3 is 12.
Congratulations.
Which is a good number. 12,
Right.
12. That's my birthday. 12.
Okay.
So, I just want you to know you all have spent 12 months in service, and thank you.
Well, it's been 12 beautiful months learning and just working alongside Jamada.
And yes, Jamada is definitely a teacher. And also we have a new engineer. Good morning, my sister.
She's beautiful.
I'm going to mess up her name, so please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Falasha.
Falasha.
It's an honor to be here with you ladies. Thank you.
I'm so happy to see you behind there. I tried that and tried to host. It did just not work. I was just really messing up. So I was like, just let me be the host and get some engineers. So tell us. We're excited. I'm excited. I'm going to be in the parade, I think. MAHI, my organization, Marcus Anthony Hall Educational Institute. We got our banner. We're going to be marching in the parade. So I'm excited because it has extended. I remember the first year we was out of the, was it the Boys and Girls
the
Club?
first year of the parade?
Yeah. We was at the Boys and Girls parking lot, right?
Yeah. So we'll talk about the parade right now because you want to. But I want to give a little bit of history about why the Boston Juneteenth Committee and the National Center of Afro-American Artists, why we do what we do.
Okay, go ahead.
And why this is our 14th year to whatever day the 19th of June falls on. That's the day that we kind of reverence, we educate, and then we also celebrate.
Right.
And so I want to talk about that for a second, but I'll go back to the parade because that's where my brain is right now. And I was so thankful. To God be the glory. And I thank God for this station because I can talk about the Lord all I want. But to God be the glory. I'm praying, and because so many states accepted it, and it was so many out of so many states, and I'm praying and everything. And honey, I look up, and the next thing I know, President Biden has made it a national holiday. And what's so good about God? The first time that it became a national holiday was on a Monday. And so it happened that, on Sunday, if the holiday falls on a Sunday, then you automatically get off on Monday. So people who were just not even cognizant of Juneteenth, didn't even care about Juneteenth, they got paid and they were off. And so I said, as they say in that Biggie song, nobody do it like he do. Nobody can do it like God does it. So fast forward, I was just so elated. I just wanted to thank God. That was the purpose of the parade. And we're not trying to be, of course, we're not the Caribbean parade. We don't have big floats or anything. We're not the Haitian and the Puerto Rican parade. And we're not the Roxbury Unity parade, I just wanted to thank God for what he did as far as this is concerned. Well, fast forward, the next year, the Juneteenth committee, they wanted to do it again. So this is now they want to do it again. This is the third year.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a 3-leg type of thing. So that's the parade is like the second leg in order. But in order of importance is our formal program on the grounds of the museum.
Right.
And the purpose, one of the main purposes also of the Boston Juneteenth Committee is to bring people to the knowledge of the museum. We don't even know about that museum at 300 Walnut Avenue. And we also have this Big Head Festival because that great big head, it's called Eternal Presence. But people say, oh, that place with the big head.
The black head.
And so, and so it's called Eternal Presence, and by John Wilson, and may he rest in peace. And so what we're going to have, well, first of all, let's talk about Juneteenth for a second. The 19th of June. I have this little correspondence. I'm a charter member of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C. And I don't know if you all have been there, but if you haven't, you need to go. So I've been there about 3 times. But I like what it says here when it was asking me to give some more or something here. But anyway, the legacy of Juneteenth reminds us to never give up hope in uncertain times, to remember the resilience of generations that came before us, and to keep these important stories alive both today and for our shared future. And basically, that's what we're about. Because, we have the Roxbury Homecoming, which happens to be most of the time, the third Saturday in June. Shout out to all fathers, because the third Sunday is Father's Day.
Yes.
All fathers, all father figures, all men.
Yes.
I want to give a great big fat shout out and love to all of our men.
That's right, because all of our men a lot of our men are doing what they're supposed to do as
but you know what I've learned as I have become age strong, and I have observed what people say and so forth, especially among our brothers, because that's who I'm around the most. And I know somebody's going to be angry at me about this, but they get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I know personally of some children whose mothers kept them from their dad. Their dad couldn't even drive by and see them in the yard. Nobody tells that story. And there are men who love their children.
Yes.
And so my heart, and we give our brothers a bad rep. And then systematically, our situation is as such. If you have a man in the house, you can't get any help. If you don't say that the man intimidated you, then he doesn't get a restraining order, and therefore you can't get such and such a thing. So it's really something. And so when I hear us dogging our men, they're not really.
All of them ain't the same.
No, well, not all of them, but not only all of them. We talk too much negatively about them. And I read, and I believe this, I read this last year, the year before last, the black male is the gist of it was the best dads. The best dads, okay? And so I have to speak that, because that's what my assignment is to speak the truth.
Right.
All right, so I'll try to go. And you all also know I talk.
Yes.
So you got to give me a little sign.
I know.
And I go off on the wrong thing.
All right.
So anyway, what I want to say is one thing is we want to do is we celebrate, but we want to educate, and we want to reverence. We want to reverence. We talk about Opal Lee. She was called the grandmother of Juneteenth. First of all, my roots are in Texas, and I helped when I was I was either in undergrad or law school when I helped in Houston, Texas, to make the state of Texas recognize and make it a state holiday. And I have a background in Texas and in Fort Worth, Texas, where Opal is. Opal and I worked together on Juneteenth. And so fast forward, she's all over D.C. and all over the world, But so I have a little background about Juneteenth. So fast forward, we're going to talk about us. So the first thing we're going to do is this is our second year doing a flag raising. The flag raising is at the Dillaway Thomas House. That's 183 Roxbury Street in Roxbury. And if you all stand at Nubian Square right by the library and look up that hill, you'll see the first church, which is historic. That's where William Dawes rode. You remember, listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. So it was William Dawes. It was Paul Revere just because it rhymes, the poet. So, but actually there were some black people who would say, the British are coming. But historically, that's why I say Roxbury is rich. And we as a people don't even know it. And we have moved all out and everything and not realizing. And now gentrification is, okay, turn, Jamada, get back where you're supposed to get. So, first church, I'm just trying to give you a location. John Elliott Square, you might know that part. So the Dillaway Thomas House, and it's also part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, is the Roxbury Heritage State Park.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to have a flag raising.
Okay.
Last year we had Ben Haith. Ben, they call him Boston Ben. And he was in Boston for many, many, many years. But Ben is really from Connecticut. And he went back home. He's kind of like, age strong also. So he's gone back home. But Ben was here last year. And so we had, and 25 years ago or something, they raised the flag for the first time at the Dillaway Thomas House.
Okay.
So we're still going to have a flag raising ceremony. And Attorney General Andrea Campbell, she's going to help hoist with the 54th.
Okay.
And we're going to have Lillian O'Neill and Mrs. Wilma Brown. They're our living legends.
Yes.
And we're going to have Miss Choice McCarthy. She's Miss Juneteenth. Okay. She was Miss Juneteenth last year. We just going to make her Juneteenth again. But we want people to come out for the flag raising. And and that's at 12:30.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock in that same location, right to the right, is where the people are going to be lining up for the parade. Now you have to register to be in the parade. You can't just come up all loosey-goosey. And so Boston Juneteenth Committee at gmail.com. If you're interested, you can still say, I'm interested in being in the parade as an individual, as a group. They will immediately reply and send you a packet. So at 183 Roxbury, at 1 o'clock, the parade's going to start lining up, and the kickoff is at 2. And they're going to go right by what used to be called the Timothy School. And they're going to come down John Elliott Square. They're going to go down to the bottom. And right there, I think it's called Guild Road, is a little park that I'm part of.
Yes.
And it's called the General Gordine African American Veteran Memorial Park. If you all haven't been there, I'm not going to say you should be ashamed, but if you haven't been there, here's B2 Community over here, office, and over here is the Silver Slipper. It's right in the middle. And it's a statue of Gordine, who was a brigadier general. He was an Olympian, and he was the first superior black judge in Massachusetts. Okay. And so we're going to go right there by that park. We're going to take a left, and then we're going to take a right on Malcolm X. We're going to cross Washington, go down that street. That
Warren?
No, it's
No.
Dudley. I don't want
Dudley.
to say Dudley. In the,
Oh, Nubian
on
Street.
the left hand, on the left hand side, on the left hand, in City Councilor Tanya Anderson said we're going to change that street. But anyway, on the left hand side is Nubian Station, and on the right we're going to go right past what we call Nubian Library.
Yes.
You're going to turn right on Warren.
Yeah.
Now, this is the parade. It's 1.6 miles. And then you pass the Boys and Girls Club. That's where we had our first.
Yes.
And we're going to pass the Boys and Girls Club. We're going to go up across the street. There will be 12th Baptist. And then we're going to hit Walnut Avenue. We're going to take a right on Walnut Avenue. And we're going to go straight to the museum. So you're going to pass all these churches and the historic Davis Funeral Home. You're going to pass the Church of Christ Church. You're going to pass on the left is the Elliott Church. On the right is the Higginson Lewis School, where I went to go.
Yep.
And then you go straight, go to past the Horatio Park, will be on the left. And about 2 blocks further is the museum. Now, that's going to be the length of the parade. We want people to participate, be in the parade, but we also want, what's a parade without spectators?
Right.
So we want people to be there to look and to enjoy. And then we're going to go into the grounds. The grounds are going to be open at 2:15. On the grounds, there'll be vendors already there. There will be vendors with retail, and there will be information booths about different things that we need to be aware of. There'll be food vendors. And then we're going to have the 54th. Now, people, you need to educate yourself. The 54th reenactors. What are the 54th about? I'll say like my father when I would say, how do you spell something? My father would say, look it up. And I'm glad he did because I learned how to win spelling bees. So 54th, you need to look it up. But the 54th are going to help hoist the flag. The 54th are going to be in the parade, the reenactors. And the 54th, they're going to encamp right there on the grounds so that they can educate people. But in addition to that, then we have our formal program at 4 o'clock. And they're going to present the flags and they're going to retire the flags. And our program is going to start. And our guest speaker is going to be none other than Michael Curry, Esquire, former president of the Boston chapter of NAACP. And he is now, I think I'm not mistaken, a national officer with the NAACP. He's going to be out. And our theme is forging tomorrow today, reparation.
Yes, reparations.
To restoration.
Yes.
Now that's
I like
mouthful, but it's
Did
also.
Did y'all help come up with that?
the committee. Every year we have a theme.
Right.
And we go and we vote. We do. Everybody puts in the stuff. And we have the same mindset. And so we're talking about unity, and the girls are going to talk after I finish, if I ever finish.
Right.
That's okay. Because once I finish, I'm done.
Okay.
I promise. And so then we're going to have, actually the mayor's going to be there too. She's going to be there. That's a good thing. And we're going to have the Ralph F. Brown Award recipients.
Oh, okay.
Every year we have done that after Mr. Brown passed away. Because Mr. Brown is the one, Ben Haith used to, that's how I know about Ben Haith. He used to come to a Nubian Notion and get some of that cray paper. And he would want the red and black and green. And he would be roping all of what is now Nubian Square from pole to pole, But he would also camp out at Roxbury Homecoming, because he wanted to perpetuate the idea of Juneteenth. And he was getting ready to leave, and he asked Mr. Brown if he would pick that up. And Mr. Brown came to Barry Gaither at the museum, Imam Abdullah Farouk, Mrs. Brown was there, Aaron Holtzcloths, may he rest in peace, Jamada, and Carol Murray. And the whole idea was bringing Juneteenth to the museum and having an event. And so that happened in 2011. And I had two things. My musts were, we have to call it Emancipation Observance. And my other thing was, I don't care what day the 19th of June falls on. And I even prayed about Sunday because that's our Sabbath, our rest day for many people. But that's what the Lord gave me. Mm-hmm. So whatever day the 19th of June falls on, that's when we have it. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Brown, he got to see 2 years. He passed away in 2012. Mm-hmm. So in 2013 is when we have the Ralph F. Brown Awards. And these recipients are younger people mm-hmm. who are doing things like what Mr. Brown did in the community. And or a older person who's doing things in the community that has an organization that does things regarding young people. Okay, and then we're going to have our regular libations and our drummers and let me see. Oh, we have Miss Velma DuPont. Mm-hmm. She's going to sing. Okay, she can sing. And so we're going to have Velma DuPont. And basically that's about, Emancipation Proclamation. I used to despise United States history. Mm. I almost wanted to get a C because I refused to say Columbus discovered America, And I have been reading the Emancipation Proclamation. It's very long, so we decided to abridge it. They did. I didn't want it abridged, but they said it's too long. Mm-hmm. And every time I read that thing, it does something to me. Mm. And if you will listen to that, you will see why the concept of incarceration is so real. Mm-hmm. Because one of these sentences says, with the exception mm-hmm. of incarceration, there will be no free labor. Mm. Okay, so that's what incarceration is, slavery. Yeah. So anyway, we read that. We read General Gordon Granger. He was the Governor Granger. And he is the one that gave the General Order Number 3 in Galveston, Texas, to tell the enslaved people of Texas. Everybody else got the memo, okay? The enslaved people in Texas didn't even know about it until the Emancipation Proclamation was signed January the 1st in 1863. And the enslaved people of Texas got the word June the 19th in 1865. So that was almost 3 years later, mm-hmm. 2.5 years. And but there are different theories on that. We have our co-chair of the parade committee. She's got another take on it. Mm-hmm. And her take has something to do with, we as a people, we knew about it. But people were, and I don't even know how she gets it, but there's another take on that. There are different takes on it, and maybe one day we can talk about it. But anyway, this is what we do. We educate, we have a consciousness, and then not only that, we move forward. We act. Mm-hmm. We don't just talk. We move forward. Now, the end, I promise.
Well, thank you for all that history, Jamada. We really appreciate it. And so we're going to turn it over to Jay and Cass, and I'd like to know, some of the things that they've been able to input into, because it sounds like it's going to be the bomb this year. I mean, it seems like it's really going to be nice. So y'all want to talk about what y'all been doing?
I mean, I'll start off by saying, Jamada, you can't talk, but we love to listen. We love to listen, and every single time you talk, I feel like I'm learning more, and so I know that's the whole purpose of the Emancipation Observance, is to teach, and I think that we wanted to spread the word, and so I think being a part of this committee has been really important for us, because not only are we participating and we're also helping educate and spread the word through our channels as well. Mm-hmm. And so this year we've been working closely with the committee on, like the marketing and the theme around Juneteenth. So health, unity, restoration. And so we've been kind of like trying to figure out how we can make that the theme of the parade be spread throughout, and so but people who are spectating and also walking within can also learn at the same time. And so it's, we do want to celebrate, but we also want to educate. And so I think it's very important, and I'm a mom, and so I just want to make sure I'm also educating my children. And children like to talk, and so then it's whatever they hear throughout the house. And so when my kids go, well, I know about this, and so then they'll spread it to their friends, right? So like a game of telephone. Yeah. And so we want to play the game of telephone throughout the parade, and so we want to make sure that we're our theme is resonating throughout, and people are educating as well as celebrating. Gas Union.
See, this is why you gotta go first. Took everything. No. I do want to further a little bit of the discussion about education. And so, Sister Jumata, I must say, although I am a proud Afro-Caribbean, one of the things that I think is unique and central to the Juneteenth parade and the Emancipation observance is the emphasis on education. And so I think for me, we were actually talking about this last week. I was saying that I really miss community, specifically in Boston, specifically in Black Boston. And I think listening to my elders, it makes me a little solemn, because I see that we have lost a lot of those bridges and connections that we used to have, especially amongst us as young people. It's not the same. It's not what I hear our elders talking about. It's not the same, and it's kind of lost on us, and I would love to bring that back. And so, like Jay said, we need to play a game of telephone. We need to tell everybody what's going on, what our history is, how we keep that alive. And I think with Juneteenth being recognized as a federal holiday now, with the increased visibility, we need to capitalize on that, and this year's a perfect year to do that. And so I'm really thankful to Anthony and Andrew Marshall for putting us in contact with the Boston Juneteenth Committee, because now we can continue to amplify their work and also bring in our perspective to connect them to larger communities in Boston. We're definitely spreading it around in our networks, definitely throughout the hospital where a lot of the patients come, and that's a very mixed population. But I think I do want to just highlight like the emphasis on education. It's so incredibly important. It's fun. It's great. It is going to be a great time. Yes, absolutely. But being a part of the committee and watching everybody, from the grounds to the actual parade to the marching, what banners are we going to hold? What are they going to say? What themes are they going to highlight? Who will be standing there? We'll be at the front, by the way. It's really nice. And like Jay said, we're definitely learning a lot, but more importantly, we're having the conversations about how to spread this word and get it out into the community. And I think a really unique part of that too is the fact that we are from a large institution, so we can lift up the Boston Juneteenth Committee. Now, they've been central into Black Boston, but if we want more opportunities, if we want more funding, if we want more visibility, then we have to create those partnerships, but we have to be intentional about them. We're not sellouts. That's not what we're here to do. We want to keep our themes and our ideas. I mean, you heard her, forging tomorrow today, reparation to restoration. That's been there since we got there. It was never changing. And we don't want to change anything. We want to uphold what is already there. We just want to lift it up. We want everybody to see. And I think Jay and I, that is kind of our, you know what, I'll take your words, Jumata. That's our assignment to create those partnerships and leverage all of our capabilities so that we can boost up the Boston Juneteenth Committee.
Yeah,
okay, so I'm going to stop saying that I'm not going to say anything.
Just don't listen to it. She's never going to stop.
So, Priscilla, say what you have to say, because I have two quick things.
No, listen. I brought you all on for you all to talk. I don't have to talk all the time just because I'm the host. Okay. But it's, you know me. I know the jumping. Go ahead.
Thank you, Minister. So, this is what I want to say quickly. Because I want them to talk about the signs in the parade and the sections in the parade. That's what I want you all to elaborate on. But before that, I like what you said, Cass, about your ethnic identity, for lack of a better term. I don't even know what to call me anymore. Because last week, I was down in City Hall area. The Lord directed my path. I was doing something else, and I had a 2-hour wait. So I walked over to City Hall. I heard this noise, And there was a big event going on for Caribbean month or week or something. And the mayor was there and all of the city councilors, and there was a stage and there were chairs. And I just happened upon it. And not only that, you could go inside and there was food galore. And so everybody was getting up to the mic. You know how all the politicians do. And they were all talking. And I tell you, each one was saying how their patty would outdo the other one's patty. And everybody had a language. Haitians, Puerto Rican or whatever. And the mayor, Asian. Everybody, the ladies, the two sisters said in the Katrina storm, everybody but us. I had my little Juneteenth button on, and I felt like, go sit down somewhere, because nobody is. And so this is about our culture. Yeah. We don't have a language even, okay? And I want to like cry. I want everybody to hear this, but I want us because it's very important. You know, we're talking about this reparation business and so forth and so on. But I started saying, well, what can I call us? You know, we haven't had a name yet. And at one time I heard some young people saying blackity black, you know. And now I want to say, since so many people are getting all kinds of grant money and everything because they're blackity black, I'm thinking, well, what about blackity blackity black blackity black? So I think the Lord gave it to me the other morning. Years ago, I was in undergrad at Texas Southern in Houston, and I had privileges to go to my grandmother's house. She had moved back to Texas, and I had privilege to go to my grandmother's on the weekend. So I was at my grandmother's. So one day she came home, and my grandmother was born in 1897. She almost made it to 100. And she sat in what I call her wisdom chair. And she said to me, this was in the 60s, she said, one of Aunt Hagar's children was driving the bus today. And Aunt Hagar, minister, you know about Aunt Hagar in the Bible? It dawned on me. And she was talking about, because you know, black people couldn't even sit on the front of the bus, let alone drive the bus. But for my grandmother, born in 1897, this was something remarkable. To behold. And so I decided, well, you know what? Until I can find a better word, I'm going to talk about Aunt Hagar's children, because I'll say the word victim. You know, people say, oh, you're always the victim. You know, and during the 60s, I happened to be smart. Okay, and I was raised by my parents, and so when I was in Texas, and I was always the only, and Malcolm said, if you're the only one, you ought to be ashamed, because a lot of people, when they were the only, they were like, I'm the only, you know, we weren't even calling ourselves black then, because black was, you call somebody taboo. Black, you call somebody black, you get punched in the face. So, but anyway, they would say, oh, you have a chip on your shoulder, and I wasn't even thinking about them because, you know, I was already proud, not proud, that kind of proud, but boastful in the Lord proud, you know, because the way that my parents had raised me. So I didn't even realize in Texas that they were prejudiced against me because I wasn't paying any attention. And I said all that to say something, and I got hung up. But the point of the matter is that I remember when I was a teenager or pre-teenager, like, and downtown Boston was like what you used to see in the movies in New York City. The people were everywhere, and they had all these little stores and stuff. And so when you go downtown Boston, everybody had a language but us. And my best friend, her name was Poopy. Her real name was Gladys. And Poopy and I, we lived on Humboldt Avenue between Townsend and Monroe. And we had decided we were going to get on. They used to have trolleys then. First it started out with a trolley. Then they invented something called a trackless trolley. And then they had something called a bus. So anyway, we would go down to, I'll say, Nubian Station, and we get on the train. And we had promised that once we got to the station, we weren't going to speak English we were going to act like we had a language. Now that's how pitiful we were. And I would be, if we were, I guess we probably looked like two fools because we were doing expressions, and I would say, and she would say, because we wanted so badly to have a language. And so I'm saying, fast forward, it's about the it's about the culture. Yes, okay?
Yes.
And so I'm being serious now. So those people from Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, those people that we see the pictures of the people being beaten on their backs, because in essence, they were enslaved people throughout the world. Yeah. But I'm talking about Hagar's children that were brought here. But but it's going to take all of us.
Yep.
I mean, they're white. If you remember the civil rights, and you remember seeing those rabbis, you were seeing the priests. In other words, everybody got together to try to make it good. And that's what it's going to take. But that's why we must keep Juneteenth from the spiritual, because our ancestors, as they said in this little sentence here about our ancestors, that the resilience of the generations that came before us. Okay? And so that's it. Now you all talk about the signs and the sections. I think there are going to be sections in the parade, and then they're going to be signs, and they're going to be people holding up the signs. What are they? Do you all know? I know you all know. You helped with the signs.
There's 4 sections. So there's faith, unity, restoration, and I believe the last is health, right, Jay?
Yes.
So in each 4 sections, yeah, in each of the 4 sections, there'll be posters with themes tied to that and related to it. So we have obviously empowering Black men and women. Then we have Black mental health, and like we said, we're from Brigham Women's Hospital, so we're also promoting physical health, championing yourself, loving yourself, respecting yourself, self-worth. You want to jump in, give a few?
Yeah, for sure. And so we also have, well, you had said it already, like healthy heart, self-respect, and like mental health, and also I'm just going to jump onto my phone here, and unity. And so, and that goes back to what we were talking about our community. And so we just want to, and we have the different sections: faith, unity, health, and restoration. And so when people come to walk in the parade, we'll assign them to different sections, and then we'll have the signs that Cass was just mentioning, empowering Black women and empowering Black men throughout the parade, so that, as we had talked about earlier, we can educate as we're walking. For those who are just, spectators, they can also see what we're empowering, what we're discussing, what our theme is. And, so it's just, and we also have our living legends there along with us. So I think that will be very awesome and amazing.
Yeah, and the section that will have young, gifted, and Black, I will be in there. I'm going to find my way back there.
I'll be in there too.
Okay, Jumada and I will be there. So you come find us and take a photo for all.
Jumada says she's age strong. I'm age intermediate.
Well, what does that make me?
Well, I'm age strong too, so
I'm not answering that.
It's funny because I remember Nubian Notion. I bought my first concert tickets there, so I was like,
I don't know what they're talking about.
It was Lloyd, but that's okay. And so I was like, I remember Nubian Notion, and so I'm age intermediate, and I also remember the trolleys. I was like, wow, I guess I'm up there, but that's okay. And so also I do want to cover we also are selling T-shirts on the Boston.
You can't say anything about price or anything.
Yeah, don't say price, but you say you.
They will be there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you can, if you would like to have some Juneteenth swag. You are more than welcome to at the parade. We'll have some there that you can, if you're interested in. If you would like some attire, it's there. It's we are celebrating our 14th annual Juneteenth Emancipation Observance.
Okay, so I'm not sure about I know they'll be on the grounds.
Yeah, they'll be on the grounds.
But for the permit, I don't think we said we were selling anything. So
okay,
so
I'm sorry.
We may not do that because we wanted to do everything right. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
I am very excited because, like, for the food vendors, we're gonna have something for the children,
and
we're gonna have something for the little the sweet
the face painting.
There's something for all ages.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
But we're also gonna have someone. I don't guess I can name the names of the vendors, but we're going to have someone who is going to supply a dinner plate, so we can have a hot meal if you want to hang out with us all day. You know, it'll be a meat and, of course, no pork products. We've been doing that for 14 years. We don't want any pork products. But we're going to have the meal. They'll have, like, collard greens and you know, some good food. And I want to say also that we're going to probably, I'm going to just say it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Say, 'cause in fact, your group may have given us a little funding to do it. We're going to give out some watermelon.
Oh, I like that.
Watermelon and you know,
What did she say?
I know, I was nervous.
yeah, Juneteenth. We're going to give watermelon out. I'll have some little tickets to everybody, and when they give their ticket, you know, see Jamada, and I'll give you a ticket for some free watermelon.
On Facebook,
Yes.
we have a couple questions.
Okay.
Will there be any children activities on the ground, number one? Number two, question, will there be any registration tables? I don't know if that's political registration to vote or just registration tables. And then the last question, it's a question mark, then it says Center Street. Question mark, Center Street.
Okay.
I don't think.
So first of all, definitely we're going to have Spark the Automobile with the artist Aqua Holmes, and she runs that with Mass, and there will be all good activities for all ages, and including the children.
Even us age strong.
Even the age
And age intermediate.
And I was on that committee that we changed the name from Elderly Commission.
Oh,
to
you
Age
did?
Strong, yes, the
Yeah.
Age Strong Commission. But anyway, yes, we're going to have story reading on the inside of the museum, and there will be activities also on the outside, and there'll be face painting and. I think
Yeah, they'll be
Sister-
doing plants,
Yeah, they'll
like
do-
putting plants in little planters, like lots of hands-on activities for the children specifically.
Right. And the second question, Pastor, what was that second question for Facebook?
Registration tables.
So you have to register to
Before.
be in the parade.
Yeah.
Boston Juneteenth Committee at gmail.com. And they will reply immediately, but you have to register to be in. Now, as far as vendors are concerned, we may be full, but you also go into Boston Juneteenth Committee at gmail.com and tell them you're interested as far as vending. We're going to have vendors that will be selling wares, but they will also have vendors who will be educating people about their particular agencies, what they do, health-wise, housing-wise, or whatever. So we will have some information tables. And then Center Street. Now, there's nothing that I know about as far as Center Street, even in the parade, because the center streets that I know, it's not going to go up Washington or anything like that.
Yeah, it's
We're
going
not
up
having
Warren.
floats. It's going up Warren.
Warren, yeah.
It's going through Nubian Square, which that's part of.
Yeah.
I know people don't probably even know the whole area of Nubian Square. I was on that Nubian Square coalition too, and these squares are commercial areas. Okay, so that commercial area is very wide. Okay, but Center Street. I don't know what the question was about Center Street, but from my mindset, there's nothing happening on or near Center Street. Okay.
Thank you, Jamala.
There's also a map for the parade on our Eventbrite. So if they go to Eventbrite and just search Juneteenth Emancipation Observance, you can see the map of exactly where we'll be walking, if there's any questions about that.
Okay.
And as far as registration, and because the gentleman just mentioned he wasn't sure if it was like voting or something, I do want to say that the NAACP will be there for voter registration.
You know that for a fact.
Yes, one of the committee members had mentioned it, so I just want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be different vendors and information booths. Okay. Okay,
Yeah, we
great.
should, every time we do an event, we need to have voter registration.
Absolutely.
You know, because every year we have an election. And every year we have a hard time getting our people to the polls. And I have a suggestion, and I've been talking about this. I think that these churches that have vans, that they should donate their vans on Tuesday, election day, to take people to the polls, because that's another problem that we have, unfortunately, is getting to the polls. And we have so many churches that have so many vans. You know, we can maybe find somebody to, like, don't, you know, give them gas money, and then maybe something, a stipend for a driver or something.
So that's one of the things I do also, is I work the polls for whoever I decide I'm endorsing or whatever. And one of the things that I do know, there are churches that do that. And so, you know, what we don't want, there are churches that do it. One of the things that we don't do is get in touch with all the churches. I'm not saying they don't, but that's a very good idea, that what we need to do, and a lot of times what we need to do is to help reach out to the churches and tell them that,
So that could be a committee, right?
But it's not like they don't do it. It's not
No,
like
I
they
know
don't.
that's true, but
Yeah.
far and few.
So what
Far
we can
and
do
few.
is, people who have whatever your faith tradition is. I belong to Greater Boston Interfaith Organization, and they have different types of all Christian denominations, Jews, Muslims.
Right,
We even
right.
have, I think, a Buddhist group. But in other words, whatever your faith tradition, if your church has a van, whatever your party is, get in touch with your party in your area, and tell them that your church will be available. You know, they even need, for the poll workers, that are not the poll workers, but people who are working the polls for voting. You know, they even in the vans, they have maybe hot coffee or hot tea or something. So yeah, that's good. But the main thing is, do you really remember the pictures of the civil rights workers? Do you realize, you know, they talked about Rosa Parks and how she refused to sit in the back and so forth. But I just think about, and you know, the South is not like Boston, where we have mass transportation. In Boston, New England is very small. That's why our houses are built up. But honey, these places it's nothing but land.
Right.
Now, do you know how you all saw the movie The Help? And those people used to have to go very far to go and work for the white lady. So, but my point is this: unity. Those people refuse to get on that bus.
That's right.
And now, you know, we want to, I'll say, come on, let's go, let's all walk to City Hall. Here comes Priscilla. Well, why can't we take bicycles? And then here comes Jay. Well, I think instead of going to City Hall, we should go to Nubian Square. By the time we finish, we haven't done a doggone thing.
Yeah.
So we have to go back.
That's where we
to
are
unity
lead. Yes, unity
and love.
Yes.
And we've got to, Dr. He spoke at the Malcolm X breakfast, and he said something that was profound. He talked about how we get on each other for the mistakes that we make. And he explained why we do that. You know, our mindset and our brain. And so don't be so critical if we don't get it all right. You know, and it's not excuses. My parents were they raised 10 kids in Boston, and, you know, 10 black children. So they were very our people as a culture, we had to walk right and look right and do everything right until it was almost, we couldn't be just like children, you know. But I'm just saying all that to say that let's not be so critical of each other, and let's have some genuine love.
Yes.
All right. Well, you know what? It's time to go now. I can't believe it's been an hour.
Yes.
And Jamala did most of the talking, but that's okay. But that's all right. She got her point across.
You know why I talk a lot? Because people listen. So I'll talk as long as you listen. I'll try not to be rude, though.
Yes. So we